All right, let's get into this thing because every week we get some feedback from the professional bettors who have been listening to the show. And Simon, they got a lot of feedback for you. It's time for Sharp Calls.
I have to answer this phone.
Yeah, let's start off with the Saturday games. They loved Chad's bet on the Texans, which I agreed with, right? I think we were both on the same page with that one. We liked that matchup a lot. And, especially a game we could break down more. But I feel like every pro I talk to probably had the same mentality we do. It's just, yes, the Chargers have been winning. This is going to be the best D-line they faced since the Eagles. I remember how much the Eagles were just in their face. I mean, Houston's D-line is probably better than the Eagles. So that was a really fun discussion game. We've seen that number come down now from peaked at 2.5, I think, and most books now down to 1.5 from this Chargers. So, yeah, professionalized definitely hit that one. Now, I don't know, not much to say about the Green Bay Ravens, unfortunately. Like we were spot on with our early read on that one. We talked about grabbing the 2.5. The pros did grab that, but I would say in the last 24 hours, I haven't really talked to many pros backing Green Bay now at -4.5 without the unknown of who the quarterback's going to be. So
we're not even going to talk about this game.
No. Well, in our other contests, it's probably going to be a play for us at 2.5 just because that's such a good number now, especially if Lamar is going to miss that game for the Ravens. Let's get to the Sunday games. Really, really interesting splits between the Eagles, which I think the pros absolutely love, and the Joe Public and us on that Bills side. Might have got a little caught there. I really didn't think the Eagles would be playing starters, but apparently they're all in. And maybe we underestimated there might be an injury to Josh Allen. So that's an interesting game. We're definitely going to have to break down some more. Pros love the Colts. A game I think you were on. I was definitely on the other side of it. I'm kind of indifferent about it. I just think the Jags are just so much a better team. So that was a really interesting one. Tennessee, not that shocking. I told you that felt like a really sharp play by you. Pros love it. Every pro I've talked to is on that side. It's going to be the definition of pros versus Joes. Like the pros are lining up on that side. The public is hammering that Saints side. Going to be a really interesting matchup. Cleveland Browns is actually not as just pro as I thought it was going to be. The public is coming on Cleveland as well, but that was a pro game. I believe it opened 4.5. DK suspension came out, probably dropped it to 4, 3.5, like we did our show. You get out the 3.5. Now you see the professional money coming in very heavy, bumping this down to 3 at most books. Even some 2.5s popped up. Saw some buyback from the pros, and this went back to 3. So that's another really interesting game. And a game I gave out, I knew the pros would be on it. I love the Seattle Seahawks. That's going to be another draw the line in the sand, pros versus Joes. Now, I did talk to some really sharp groups that did take the Panthers 7.5, but they're indifferent, right? Once it gets to 7, they really just bought the number in the hook. Just a really interesting game, that one, a lot of back and forth. So, yeah, the cap it out, I'm on the other side of it. I'm going against my professional brothers. I really like the Rams. They love the Falcons. They love the number on the Falcons. They love the matchup with the Falcons. And I don't know if you have an opinion on that one, but I thought it was interesting. I'm even more dug in. I bet even more money on the Rams, which went to 7.5. So that's a really fun game to break down.
All right, well, let's get into it. I think we have some differences of opinions, and then we're on the same side of a bunch of things. The Texans at the Chargers, I'm so bummed we can't put this into our Sharper Square contest with all of our listeners because we both love the Texans here. I bet the Texans at 2.5. I bet him on the money line. D'Amico Ryan, 16% ROI as an outright underdog as a head coach. But look, this is all about betting against the Chargers offensive line. I just will not be fooled by them beating up on the Cowboys and looking great against a team that did what it did against Josh Johnson in the second half on Christmas. I won't be fooled by them beating up on the Eagles and getting that win when Jalen Hurts had so many turnovers in that game. I'm just not buying it. I know Justin Herbert is great. That I'll buy. This offensive line is in trouble, and this offensive line is going against a defense that I think is actually better than the Broncos. I want to make a point about that when we talk about the Jags. So, yeah, like I'm just going to keep betting the Texans.
Yeah, it's interesting where this game ends up because, like you said, it's as great as the Chargers have been. A lot of it has just been kind of, that Eagles game, they probably should have lost it, right? Things went their way. And we're giving props to Herbert. He had a horrible game, but he outlasted Hurts in that game where, Hurts had crucial turnovers at the very end of the game, driving to win the game. And, Herbert didn't. As bad as he played in that game, he played well enough, obviously, to win it. Same with the Chiefs game. He didn't play amazing. They only scored 1 touchdown, but they outlasted them, right? They won 16-3. That was the exact type of game that Herbert always loses to Mahomes. So I do want to give Herbert props. I know people were saying, he should be in the MVP discussion. That's too far going the one way, but I do think he deserves to get the respect of, this is a guy that, like you said, he's lost both his tackles, has a bad hand, still producing week to week. So I get why the general public is backing him here, right? Why they trust him more in the sense that, in the playoffs, that matchup the last time they played, you do kind of have to burn those tapes and throw it away, right? That was one of the worst games Herbert could possibly have. But the defensive scheme that I think is going to give Herbert the same type of problems has not changed. And it's even more so, he doesn't have his starting left tackle and right tackle from that game against one of the best D-lines in football. So I am right there with you, Chad. It's the toughest part about our contest, right? There are 5 games this week we cannot play in our contest because there's 2 on Saturday and the 3 obviously from Christmas. That's hard. That means we have 11 games left to pick from our contest, 3 of which I don't want to bet. So now we have 8 games.
Yeah.
Games that you guys have the 8. So say all the time, our contest, I love it, but it is really tough, and tons of respect to the people that do play it. I think we had, 10 or 3 different people start 10-0 to start the year for this contest. Just really impressive because we say the lines are always moving, and it's a really tough contest. So I'm like you, wish we could get this one. I love the Texans here, but maybe it's for the best. I think it's 1.5. It would be 1.5 in our contest. That's where most lines are going. So
I don't think I care. Like I'm betting more on the money line for this game than I am on the side.
That's fair. I you know me. I'm so into the number 2, how it's such a key number. I feel much safer taking the 2.5.
All right, Simon. Biggest bets.
It's just a unique time right now in football. So yeah, for me, my biggest bets, Chad. I'm not gonna lie, people haven't bet too heavily into these games, right? I bet into the Christmas games because they were so early in the week. Houston, I'm probably gonna take one of my larger positions on just because it's tomorrow and I want to be there with it. Seattle, I've been patient. I've been hoping to get to 6.5. If I start seeing it tinker back up to 7.5, I will go very heavy on Seattle at 7. I'm just hoping to get to 6.5. I really hope that number gets bet down to professionals. Cleveland, no surprise to people. The 3.5, the 3s, I've bet pretty heavy into it, and I just have a feeling come Sunday, this Bears side of the +3, it's gonna be one of my bigger bets. So yeah, I really like the dogs this weekend. I didn't say it because I'm making myself now. I can make it one of my bigger bets, but I'm very tempted here on Vegas with them being +1.5. It's just I can't believe that line's not a pick, let alone them -1. So Vegas could get there for right now, though. Just the 2 sides I've really lit up on is Cleveland and most likely Houston.